all the wonderful members of this congregation. I'd like to welcome you to this event. It's an honor really to welcome you to this town hall event, which is focused on a pivotal topic for our community: setting up a business in the United Kingdom. Today we are privileged to have a renowned expert in immigration and business law, Mr. Garth Coates, and his team share insights and expertise on navigating the complexities of establishing and growing a business in the UK. Garth and the country director, Iyola, will tell us much more about themselves because this is a relatively not so formal event. And as Director General of the NBCC, I fully understand the importance of fostering international partnerships and creating opportunities for our members. Mr. Coates' extensive knowledge in this field is invaluable, and we anticipate gaining valuable insights that will empower our members to thrive in the dynamic business landscape of the United Kingdom. To moderate this conversation is our very own Yetunde Olashokbe, a seasoned lawyer and active member of our advocacy committee. Please note that this is a not so formal event, so feel free to ask questions, interrupt Garth, as he said, grab some tea, and just relax and keep the conversation going. I'm going to hand over to the very active and eloquent chairman of the advocacy committee, Ms. Rinu, who's put this together. Please let's make her welcome. Thank you. Thank you once again for being here. Yes, ma'am.
Right, good morning everyone. Good morning ladies and gentlemen. Good morning virtual viewers online. Welcome to the Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce. My name is Anne Rinu. I chair the advocacy committee of the chamber, but I'm standing on all protocols, as we say in Nigeria, but literally the welcome address will be taken by myself on behalf of our president, Mr. Riatelli, who is unavoidably absent this morning, but I'm sure he's with us online and in spirit. Right, so the welcome address again on behalf of Mr. Riatelli, the president and chairman of council, the Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce, at today's breakfast meeting themed Setting Up Businesses in the UK. Right, good morning again. Patrons, council members, the British Deputy High Commissioner, who has fostered the interface with Garth Coates, members of the Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start by wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year in advance. Traditionally, the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce Presidential Dinner is our last event in a calendar year. But considering our commitment to continue to elevate the value proposition to our members and stakeholders, we deemed it essential to welcome this collaboration with the Coates Global World Without Borders to help members understand and begin to navigate setting up businesses in the UK. For the benefit of those who do not know, the Nigeria-British Chamber of Commerce is the foremost bilateral chamber of commerce in Nigeria and was established in 1977 to promote trade and investment between Nigeria and Britain. The chamber currently has over 400 strong members from diverse sectors of the economy. We're an international affiliate of the British Chamber of Commerce, which gives us access to a network of 53 chambers of commerce across the United Kingdom and 71 other international affiliates around the world. This event is in alignment with our cardinal mandate as a chamber to promote businesses between Nigeria and the UK. So I'm delighted to welcome our distinguished speakers, Mr. Garth Coates. I met you yesterday. He's the principal, Garth Coates Solicitors, based in the UK, but have a global influence. A leading law firm specializing in UK immigration and immigration law and citizenship. And of course, his partner, Mr. Iola Ojo, who is the country director of Coates Global. As we look forward to a lot of optimism in the coming year, let us endeavor to maximize every piece of information Garth and his team will be sharing with us this morning. Once again, thank you, Garth, and thank you, NBCC, as well as the Advocacy Committee, for putting together this event. And on that note, I declare the event open and would like to invite our lady, Mrs. Yetunde Olashope, who would be moderating today's event, to please come to the podium and do the formal introductions. Thank you, Yetunde. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Renu. Before we proceed with the formal program, I would like us to take the national anthem for both countries represented today. If you don't mind, I think we should start with that before we make the introductions. Thank you. Take our seats. Good morning, everyone. I am very pleased to be here today and glad to have the opportunity to moderate this very informative, what promises to be a very informative session with the Garth Coates team. I would like to stand on all existing protocol, but of course would like to thank specifically our president, Mr. Ray Attlee, our indefatigable chairperson for the advocacy team, Ms. Renu, our ever-strong DG, Dr. Njoku, and of course, Chim, I don't want to mispronounce your surname. She's the country director for the Department of Trade of the British Deputy High Commission in Lagos. Thank you very much for your role. And of course, the Garth Coates team. You're very welcome. And we look forward to a very engaging session this morning. Without further ado, I would like to proceed to call the speakers to the podium, and we will start with Mr. Coates, our first panelist. He is the founding partner of Garth Coates Solicitors, a leading UK immigration firm based in the centre of London, and the firm represents international private and commercial immigration clients. He's traveled to Nigeria for the past 10 years to assist Nigerian clients with their immigration issues. Please let's welcome warmly Mr. Garth Coates to the podium. Here, the seat. And of course, Mr. Iyola Ojo, who is Garth's partner. He's also a practicing lawyer and serves as the country director of Coates Global WWB, Nigeria Limited, which was founded this year. And the firm is established to extend tailored immigration, please sit here, services to clients in Nigeria, clients with unique challenges, keeping in mind the Nigerian landscape. Thank you very much. Please also warmly welcome Mr. Ojo. Now I will proceed to sit, but while I get to my seat, I would like to reiterate that it's supposed to be a very interactive session, not too formal. So we're encouraging attendees, both here physically and online, to prepare their questions. We will take as many as we can within the time given for the session. So, Garth, over to you. Kindly introduce yourself. I think it works. Okay, let me give you mine. Yeah, please go ahead.
Can you hear me okay? At the back? Good. Well, good. This is very much a fireside chat, so normally I'm used to standing up at a podium, and this is wonderful for me, so I'll just relax and hope you will all be relaxed as well. I just wanted to welcome you all here today, and thank you very much for taking your time on a Monday morning to come and to see us. I certainly hope that this session will be informative and constructive. First of all, I would like to say a very big thank you to Dr. Beery and her team at the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce, and Chim and our friends at the Department for Business and Trade. It's a great privilege to be here. I've been here for a week. I fly out tonight, and I am actually very excited to do this because, as I will go on to say, I think there is a need for specialized thriving economy like Nigeria, and I'm here to provide that, and hopefully my services will be of benefit. So I think the session today will be informative, and I think is really to introduce myself, my firm, and the immigration services that we can provide. And then to talk about current immigration law and policies and how they can benefit our Nigerian clients who want exposure into the British business market. So just a little bit about myself. As you know, my name is Garth Coates. I'm the founder and principal of Garth Coates Solicitors. We are, I like to think, a leading specialist immigration law firm based in the centre of London. We have private and corporate clientele worldwide. Let's say my reach is across all worldwide regions. We have clients from everywhere. So we specialise in all aspects of immigration, including private, so visitors, students, work permits, appeals, humanitarian work, asylum. But our main focus is on business immigration. That's what we're known for. That's what we're very good at, and we've got a well-established name. I've been an immigration lawyer for 30 years now, so I've been around the block. And with immigration law, you have immigration law, you have policies, you have procedures, you have guidelines, and then that's all wrapped up in the big sphere of government and politics, as you might have seen recently with our Prime Minister and what he's trying to introduce. But I actually started my career in the Home Office in London. So in the Immigration Department of the Home Office in London. So in a sense, I'm not unique, but not many people know both sides of the fence, having worked in the immigration system and are now in private practice as a lawyer. And that stands me in very good stead. Going forward, the reason I'm actually in Nigeria is because my journey actually started some 25 years ago. I've been a corporate immigration lawyer for one of Nigeria's conglomerates for 25 years. And through that, I built up a Nigerian clientele, and that resulted in 12 years ago, I came with my chairman and my aburo, Ayola. We came on an exploratory trip 12 years ago, and we haven't looked back. I come 4 times a year. It's been incredibly successful, and it's led to this year, as has been said, that through our Coats Global umbrella, we've set up a physical office here, and Ayola is our country director on ground all the time. So Nigeria is a very, very important market for us. Before I start, I wanted to say that we are a specialist immigration law firm. That's all we do. But we hold our clients' hands. So when clients come to the UK and they need tax advice and accountancy advice, we have our trusted advisors who can help them. And obviously, businesses that are coming into the UK, they need advice on company commercial matters, patent matters, litigation, employment, conveyancing, everything. We as a firm don't recommend other law firms. I personally recommend experts in those legal fields that I trust and who look after all my clients. So it's a very, very holistic approach, and we hold our clients' hands throughout their journey, which may lead to citizenship, but way after. I have clients who call me after 20 years and say, I need an employment lawyer, help me out. And I'm happy to use my network of trusted people to help my clients. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, that's very comforting to know. I'll have a question for you, but before then, it's been brought to my attention that I do apologize, sir. I forgot to recognize you. Please, I would like to recognize the presence of Mr. Ishmael Balogun. He is the president of the Nigerian-Indonesian Chamber of Commerce. You're very welcome, sir. Please welcome him. My apologies. All right, thanks, Garth. Now, back to you. It's very comforting to know, as you said, that, you take a holistic approach. I mean, I would just like to, stress that again, that, Garth Coates, is focused on immigration law, but there is a network that you can rely on, because usually, yeah.
Absolutely. Immigration is the first port of call.
Yeah.
Clients who come to the UK and they move to the UK, perhaps permanently or perhaps not. They arrive in a new country. They might visit all the time, but when you're coming to set up a business, where do you go? And even before we have done our immigration process, we have that network of communication already lined up. So any client this week that we've signed up for immigration programs for the UK, before we even talk about immigration contracts with us as a law firm, the first call I get them to make is with a UK accountant. Either they know one, or we can recommend a tax advisor accountant, because you need to have that advice on ground before you start any immigration journey. If you arrive in the UK on a certain immigration program, it can be too late retrospectively to backtrack on that tax advice. So it's very, very important as immigration lawyers, we protect our clients in that respect.
Very good. I hope the attendees are taking note of this. It's best to get the advice in advance before you maybe set up or set out. It may save you a lot. And of course, I mean, who better than experts in this field to refer to? I mean, of course, it doesn't mean that if you've taken those steps, there's no remedy. So obviously, you can also help with that, Garth and Iola.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have to say, any immigration process takes months to do properly. We have a very good connection with the British consulate. They know my name very well, and they know if I put in an immigration case and a legal application, they see my name before they see the applicant's name. So it's my reputation behind everything. So a point that Iola might make later is actually, we actually turn away clients.
Wow.
We're not chasing, we're lawyers, we make money, but we only make money through clients that enhance our reputation, and we give added value to them. So some clients come to us and we'll either say, you are not ready, here is a framework, we can carry on a dialogue in 6 months' time. Or if people come and play games with us, which happens in Nigeria, and they talk the talk, but when you drill down into what substance, it becomes clear that maybe it's not the way we operate.
Great.
And we walk away from people.
Okay.
And Iola's very good about dealing with that side of things.
Why do I believe you on that, Iola? Seems like a man that would, stand his ground and tell you what's what.
Well, he's my borough on ground, so he knows the local system.
Okay, thank you. I mean, you've kind of touched on this already. For over 12 years, you've been coming to Nigeria. Definitely there must be a reason, and you've kind of touched on that. But what solution, what problem, given the Nigerian, as we say, landscape, etc., are you looking to solve? What solutions are you providing? If you want to,
I get it. I mean, I've got a prompt note down here, a prompt word, which is sort of my main prompt word, and it's perception. And 12 years ago when I came here, and I'm talking to entrepreneurs or business people and business families, and I'm saying, so what business are you into? And yeah, we're into this. And I'm going, oh, wow, the UK must be a great market for you. Oh, we don't do anything in the UK. And you go, why? And they go, oh, it's too difficult. It's very hard. We don't know anything about immigration, but we heard it's really, really hard. And then you drill down into it, and you realize it's perception. The reality is that there's a vacuum of legal knowledge. And that's the point, that once you're on ground providing accurate legal immigration advice, which shifts with the sands, as we see with Rishi Sunak recently,
yes.
You have to be up to date to know how the laws are interpreted at any given moment. So, the perception has always been there that Britain is tough, and I'm here to go, yes, it is tough, but there are ways.
Great, thank you. Now going to Rishi Sunak. I know he has a few fans in the room. His recent immigration policy of his government, I mean, it seems quite tough. It seems hardline towards immigration and not too friendly. I mean, we've seen recently, the tougher conditions given to immigrant students, immigrant workers, etc. What's your take on this? What would you say? And is it?
Can I speak as a person rather than a lawyer?
Yes, please.
And I think that's more relevant. I think looking at it, it's not good, because basically immigration is a hot potato. In the UK, a touchy subject closer to elections, and the closer it comes to elections, then the time is right for the Prime Minister, whoever it is, to react. Everyone who arrives in the UK is banded together as an immigrant, whether they're short-term or long-term. So for your average British person who hears the media and government figures that too many people are coming to the UK, there's a huge distinction between people who are in immigration categories on short term that then leave, and people who come in on the long term who deserve to be there. So Rishi has brought in some policies last week. Speaking as a person, not a lawyer, one of them I think is very, very spiteful, and it will have zero or limited effect on the numbers of British immigration. So you might have read that before last week, if you're a British spouse, you're a British person, and you want to bring in your foreign wife, you have to have a salary of £18,600. Okay, that's let's say an average salary in London, but outside London, that's a good salary. And he has seen fit to penalise British people who've got foreign husbands or wives by increasing that salary to 38,800 or whatever it is, which may be affordable in London, but if you're from Belfast in Northern Ireland like me, or the north of England or Scotland, people will never afford that. So the media has been flooded with stories at the minute from very emotional British people who've been planning to bring their foreign wives or husbands in, and now they can't. And now they're actually having to take steps to go and live abroad to be with their wife. So the number of British people this will affect is going to, on the grand scheme of things, will be minimal, but it's created a very big backlash for Rishi Sunak, and I really personally, as a person, don't understand how that can benefit anyone by penalising British people.
Okay.
I hope that's an answer of some
sort.
sort.
No, of course, of course. I don't know if Iola, do you have anything to add to this? Okay, great, fantastic. Okay, so we'll move now to, close to the meat of things. So what are the different routes that can be considered by entrepreneurs?
Right, so I think this is a general intro,
yes.
and
yes.
I wanted to start off by saying, and I'll get comfortable now
yes,
for 10 minutes.
Please.
I wanted to start off by saying that British immigration is hard. And if you look at what has been done recently, it doesn't actually reflect that it is open for business, but it is. So if you look that up to 2-3 years ago, there was actually an investor category, whereas if you're a wealthy person, you could bring money in and invest in the UK. And of course, most of my investors were business people. They brought in their money and invested, but of course then they created companies and created jobs. All of that's good. But the investor category has been removed, and I would say partly because of the proliferation of Russian money that entered the system. So instead of increasing due diligence for certain investors, they wiped it out. So basically, genuine investors from around the world can't take advantage of this route anymore. Now, also, there was an entrepreneur category, very, very popular. Whereas if you were a serious business person and you had £200,000 that you could invest in the UK and you could create jobs, then if your business was strong enough, you could come into the UK. And the government had decided in their wisdom, no, that's not good. We're going to close that and we're going to morph it into an innovator category. And I will come on to that, and I expect questions about that. And thirdly, there used to be, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe it's longer, 10 years ago, there used to be a highly skilled migrant category where you could self-sponsor based on your education, based on your experience, based on your salary. You will be an asset to the UK. Sponsor yourself, come in. They removed that. So in a sense, the barriers have been put down. But I am here to say that I've been bringing Nigerian businesses in and families in for 30 years, and there are still ways. And there is a window of opportunity now, which I will explain because of pre-Brexit and post-Brexit, that is very much the advantage of Nigerian entrepreneurs, businesses, and business families. Because you've got to look at it, that the advantages for doing business in the UK are clear. You set up a British company from Nigeria, and you automatically have that information on your Nigerian paperwork and your website and everything. You're internationalizing your brand. You know, it's we call it, whether it's a proper phrase or not, I call it reputational advantage. In your domestic market, you're enhancing your credibility from the Nigerian side. But from the UK side, obviously, if you were setting up in the UK, it's easier to deal with your British suppliers and customers. And you have enhanced credibility that side. Now, a point that my borough also mentions a lot is that once you're in the UK, you have access to finance. And I always been a businessman in Nigeria, so he knows the value of this. But you can access finance in the UK at more preferential rates. From my side as well, forget Brexit, from my side as well, if you're a Nigerian company in the UK and you have European business, you can access that much more easily from London than you can from Nigeria. And many, many European companies have sub-offices in the UK. So you're on ground to deal with all of that. So, you know, all of that, all those advantages are there. And really now the nitty-gritty, I want to talk about two particular categories which are of huge advantage to our Nigerian clientele. And this trip, I think, have 7, hopefully, new families and businesses which have come on board. And the first category is called expansion worker. It was called sole representative. It's called expansion worker. And very, very important because it is not geared to individuals. It's not entrepreneur, innovator, investor. It's about the company. It's all about how can a strong Nigerian company benefit by having a senior employee based on the ground in the UK. Now, it was called sole representative, and there were two huge disadvantages with it before. The first is, as a sole representative, the Nigerian company who wanted to send someone to UK, you could not avail yourself of the category if you already had a UK entity. So it seems counterintuitive. You would think you'd have more credibility if you had a company already set up in the UK, but no, sole representative is you are coming to set up the company first and foremost. That now has changed. And secondly, and hugely important, under sole representative, the company sending an employee to the UK, but what happens if the best person to represent that company is the owner? The sole representative precluded a majority shareholder or a sizable shareholder for coming to the UK. So we had clients who came to us and say, well, I'm the owner of the company. I want to represent my business in the UK. You couldn't do it. So you could dilute shares and try to be legally clever about it, but it would still create problems. Now that has been removed as well. So expansion worker now is open to owners of businesses who want to come to the UK. And I need to make this point very clear. It is not about giving up in Nigeria and moving to the UK. It's having a foot in each country. The Nigerian company benefits by having someone in the UK. That's the immigration rationale. How does the UK company help the Nigerian company grow and expand? Yeah, and that's the key to it. So the expansion worker is very, very important, and it is actually open to all industry types. Very important. So over the years, we have brought in companies and family-owned businesses in pharma, construction, law, schools, insurance, also oil and gas and shipping, because the rationale is that London is a center for like a lot of jurisdictional work. It's a center for shipping, insurance. So I will give you one example, and then I'm going to ask Ayola to give another example about the oil and gas company. So I had, under the sole representative category before, I had a guy come to me and he said, I've got a Nigerian company, it's into aviation. I go, brilliant, I've got £5 million turnover, wonderful. And I've got business in the UK, it's going to be great for me to be there. And I went, wonderful, tell me more. And he said, well, I've got one supplier in the UK of my aviation products, and I want to be there. And I went, that's the worst example, because you don't need to be there. You need to jump on a plane, have a meeting, and come back. You need to be there for your company if you have potentially 50 suppliers. Sense, yeah? So that's so every case is industry specific. Now, this is very important. I'll give the mic to Ayola to talk about this other case. It's all about ability for me as a lawyer if I can see that the company already has existing business. Because then if you're sending someone, they're building on that existing business footprint. Makes sense. Now, the law is favorable because it is set up that even if you don't have any existing business, but you can demonstrate potential through our business plans and research, that will still allow you to send someone to the UK. But as an example of how things work, I just wanted to Ayola to talk about that oil company, about the difference.
Good morning, everyone. the oil and gas that Gat is referring to, there was this company that came to us, and it took a while for them to set up the UK side of things. But when they did, I think a year afterwards, the Nigerian company was really, really struggling. They were, about to. It was a tough one. The climate here for them was really tough, and they were really struggling. But the UK side of things that they set up was, really helped them and brought them back into business. And it's one of the cases we normally like to share, where we say, look, it's good to have access to not just one market, but different markets. It really helps you because one side of a business might struggle, and you find, that side of things on wherever you are, access to that market helping you to, move things up. So that's what GATT is referring to. So, we always say, look, why don't you want to have access to another market? Because, like you said, you leverage finance and the other things you can leverage as well.
I just wanted to follow on from that, as I said, the UK company must benefit the Nigerian company, and the relationship must work. So if you're coming to the UK to represent the Nigerian company, you are supposed to be doing that business that the parent company does. But don't forget, once your feet are on the ground in the UK and your eyes are open, and Nigerian business people have big eyes, you can diversify any way you want. And an important point to bear in mind is, if the employee coming in is the female, or it's the husband or wife, whoever is the dependent, do not forget, the dependent has more rights than the expansion worker themselves, because the expansion worker works for the parent company. The dependent, husband or wife, they are free to do what they want. They can get a job, but as many of our Nigerians do, like the client yesterday, he was coming in, we're doing oil and gas. She actually has her own successful fabric business here. And their eyes lit up, her eyes lit up, because she's going to set up her own business in the UK, importing and exporting fabrics. So once you are on ground, I have to say, I don't know whether I've said it, but in 30 years, I can say hand on heart, not one Nigerian business we have brought in has ever folded or gone back. They always find a way to prosper and develop. And that's testament to the Nigerian spirit. And, and I'm very proud of the work we have done over that time with them. But
tell people that, you can get your tea opportunity of the power break. But we'll move on.
Okay, because I want to talk about the structure. I don't know whether you wanted to take some questions, or we talk about the structure of how it works, or what
it's, the things that
for this category.
For this category.
Yeah.
Yes, we would like to go, delve a little deeper,
Yep.
if you don't mind. And also industry-wise, are there other considerations for, like, industry-specific considerations, for instance, apart from, you've mentioned oil and gas, are there other...
No, I have to say the British, it's not like America or Canada. You have a tick box system and off you go. Britain is very much on a case-by-case basis, and you really need to prove your case.
Yes.
So clearly, if you're in oil and gas, the credibility is there, why you want a London office. London's the centre of all that type of stuff, but also for pharmaceuticals and stuff. But it's all about the business rationale of how you can tap into the British market. If you are saying, we don't do any business with UK, but we hope to bring business to the UK, in a sense that's a risk, because there's no guarantee that will work. But if you're saying, we want to be in the UK because our business type is that we have stuff we can export out back to Nigeria, then it doesn't matter what the business is. It's all about the business case.
Okay. So before you delve in, I would like to kind of bring this home to Nigeria. We know that in Nigeria there are different forms of businesses.
Yes.
In terms of structures,
Yep.
how businesses can be formed. We have the sole proprietorship, the limited liability companies, partnerships, etc. Now, would this structure affect the advice you give to intending,
absolutely.
business, and what would you, how would you advise?
Well, it's very simple. If you remove immigration from the equation, if you are Nigerian and you want to do business in the UK, you can do what you want. You can set up your partnership, your company, your branch, or be a sole trader in the UK. But if it's linked to immigration, expansion worker, for instance, we're starting with that. Expansion worker will only work if the employee you are sending sets up a 100% wholly owned subsidiary of the parent company or a branch. So nothing else will work.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. And, related to that, I'm sure Yola would have something to say about this. In Nigeria, we're very religious. We have churches, charitable organizations, not just churches or religious organizations, but not for profit, for instance, and maybe social impact type of businesses. What would your advice be? Would that be also different? Are there other considerations?
Yeah, it is different, and I have to say it hasn't come my way often in my career, but we have done them, and if there's any specific need out there, I'm more than happy to look into it. But basically, if you were a church or a charity here, you need to set up under the same basis in the UK. Before you get to the immigration stage, you'll need to go to the Charity Commission and get through their hoops to set up in the UK. Then when it gets to immigration, there are specific rules for religious workers and charity workers, and generally the salary banding is less to allow those people to come into the UK.
Okay, yeah. So it's specific.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't say, I wanted to say, would you encourage it? Is it something is it a preferred option, or it's much more difficult and maybe not recommended to go and set up maybe a church, a branch, as it were, or a subsidiary? I don't know how to,
For a church?
Yes, for a church, for instance.
It can be done, and if you want to do it by legal process to bring people in, you have to do it this way.
Okay. Okay.
One point I wanted to make about expansion worker, and it's also an issue of perception, it is not for business families. The path leads to residency after 5 years and a passport. But the reality, you're not leaving Nigeria or your business. You're enhancing it because you only have to be in the UK 6 months out of every year. Not 6 months, back in, out, in, out. And the government are very fair, because if you are, for instance, in the UK less than 6 months a year, you're a visitor. So why would that lead to residency? So for them to allow the limit to be 6 months is very, very fair, very, very fair indeed. And generally we have some, let's say, business people who say, oh, well, my business here needs me too much. I can't commit to 6 months a year in the UK. They all do. Yeah. They all do. Of course. Once they have their feet on the ground and their eyes are open to business. Ayola, do you want to comment on that?
Well, like you said, a lot of them say, I can't leave Nigeria, but down the line, 2 years down the line, and I call, I'm going to be in Nigeria soon. It would be nice to meet up with you. I'm in the UK. Okay, when are you back? Well, I don't know. Business is good here.
Yeah. But there is another piece of a little nugget of immigration information which I'll share, which is very, very useful. And that is in calculating what an absence is legally. From a commercial point of view, it helps us enormously. So I'll give you an example. If you're in London on a Monday and you come to Lagos and you go back to London on Wednesday, legally that is not a 3-day trip. It's a 1-day trip, because you always take off the day out and the day in. So for our business people, they're always taking off 2 days on each trip, and it makes a big difference when you're adding up your schedules of absences and all of that type of stuff. And just one point before, if and when we talk about the structure.
Yes.
The reason why there's a window of opportunity now for business families and entrepreneurs here to come as expansion worker is that currently under the law, there is no legal definition of what your British company turnover must be, what its profitability must be, how many employees you need to create. So in a sense, there's an expectation that you come and set up a company. Of course, you're going to prosper, you hope to create jobs, you hope to pay some British tax, but it is not stipulated, no, you're not burdened by targets, you understand? And this is very much advantageous.
Thanks a lot, Garth. Okay, so because time is, fast spent, we would take we'll talk for a little, maybe 5 more minutes,
Okay.
and then we'll give, the audience and attendees an opportunity to ask questions. So as I've said, we want this to be very interactive. We would like you to ask the questions yourselves, but for anyone who is a little shy, you can write the questions and, share with one of the NBCC members that would bring the questions forward or read for us. And of course, online, Empire, I hope you're set to read out the questions that we may have. Thank you.
Could I just make
Yes.
one more
Yes,
point?
yes,
It's
yes.
a very important point, and I don't want to forget it. The definition of employee. So the Nigerian company sending the employee must be defined as senior. The job role must be senior, salary must be senior as well, because they are representing the company in UK, taking operational decisions. So the definition of what an employee is someone who has been on the payroll for 12 months, who can then come to the UK as an employee and start on a salary of £45,000. Now, if you're an owner and you're not an employee because you're taking money down as you see fit, which is normal, you can still do this and become an employee for 2 or 3 months, and we can still do it. The only difference by law is that the salary you must earn in the UK for the first year is 73,000. Then it dips down. But in a sense, it's your own company money. Yes. In the UK, for your salary in the UK. And then it dips down.
Okay. So what I'm hearing,
Sorry.
no problem. What I'm hearing is for this category, you can't have a startup in Nigeria and then want to take advantage of this.
Thank you, because now they have defined even more on expansion worker that the qualifying company must show at least 3 years, very detailed audited accounts, and they will drill down. Yeah. So
Okay.
you could be trading for 15 years, but if your accounts aren't good, and with respect, I know how Nigeria works. It's not going to help me, because it doesn't help me show the Nigerian company on the paperwork is strong enough to be able to afford the salary of the person in the UK, let alone all the rest of the startup costs. So the accounts are very important, and what it actually says in the accounts.
Great. Thank you. So because of time, are there some categories we haven't mentioned that you'd like to just touch on?
Or are we talking afterwards? Or?
Here. But of course, as you said, there's an opportunity to speak with Garth. He's still going to be here for an hour after the program to network and, for questions, etc. So
I will mention one category, if I may. And
Okay.
This is very, very important. And this is definitely a pre-Brexit, post-Brexit. So Brexit happened. Britain obviously realized in their wisdom they weren't going to, the population, not the government, but they realized that they weren't going to get European workers being able to come in. So the government basically brought in transitional immigration policies, which, let's say, were very, very favorable. So if I could explain very quickly, if you are a British company before and you want to employ a Nigerian person, you have to get an immigration license. And you have to be vetted to make sure your UK company is strong enough, then you get the license. And that license, maybe you would only get after 6 months or a year. After you've got the license, before, then you would have to advertise the job to the British people and European population, and then you go through all the work permit hoops. Because of the transitional arrangements now, there's a huge window of opportunity, because now the government, in their wisdom, have realized that startup companies need workers in from abroad to kickstart the businesses. So now it is possible to get a license after maybe weeks, maybe not even with trading. Now there is no longer any advertising requirements, and you can go straight to trying to get a work permit. And this is key to the Nigerian market, because this is now under a wrapper of self-sponsorship. Because before, if you were working for a British company as a foreigner, you couldn't get a work permit if you had more than 10% shareholding in the British company, unless you had a salary of 170,000. Now you can self-sponsor. Now, as a Nigerian person, we have clients this week, You can set up in the UK, you can get your license quickly, and then use that company to bring yourself in on a work permit under your own vehicle. So this is hugely advantageous, but the window will close at some point.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I will ask my last question,
Right.
so to give opportunities. And I know this is topical. It's something all entrepreneurs are, very concerned
Yep.
about, tax. And I know you're an
Yep.
immigration lawyer,
Yep.
but it's always a concern, the tax regime.
Yep.
What are the concerns? What should people bear in mind? Because
Yep.
we know that, coming from like the Nigerian environment, tax enforcement is not as strong
Yeah.
as, for example, the UK.
Yeah.
So what would you advise, and what would be the precaution?
Well,
or
as a
things?
humble immigration lawyer who definitely avoids any tax, the general principle is in the UK is you're only taxed on UK income. And you get an accountant to lock you down and structure everything well in advance. So going back to the point I made, even this week, we've got clients who've signed up and are serious. We're even making calls this week to our preferred accountants to speak to our clients immediately, because they want to have that conversation and lock all that down. So it's all planned. As soon as they set foot in the UK and we've done our immigration job, everything falls in line with the tax structures.
Iola, I
But
think he wants to.
pay your taxes.
Yeah, I mean, that puts it straight. Now we'll move to the Q&A session. Please indicate if you want to ask a question. Thank you, sir. I'll just read this first one, and then we'll move to Ms. Renu and Mr. Ishmael. Good morning. This is Anonymous. This is Anonymous. So, good morning. Thanks for the enlightenment. My question is about care-dependent visa. If the principal is already in the UK and the dependents are still in Nigeria till after the implementation of the new immigration laws, would the dependent still be able to apply on the rules? Would it affect the application fees?
It probably will affect the application fees. Iola, I don't know if you want to comment on this.
Yeah, well, you have to do it before the cutoff. Because if you're not there, then you've missed the boat.
I also have to make a topical point, not a legal point.
Okay.
There is a huge amount of industry scam in the care sector. So the care sector in UK has huge labour shortage problems, and that has been exploited by scam entities in Nigeria and other countries. And we have had people who we've met in Nigeria who have paid for a care home job, and that care home has then been investigated and their work permit has been suspended, and not only have they been, let's say, removed from the UK, they've been deported for 10 years.
Wow.
And they come to me and say, fix this, or how did this happen? And as we say, in what sector do you pay for your job? You get offered a salary for your job. If you're paying for something, that isn't right. That smells funny.
It's a red flag.
Thank you. And the number of people that we have been having conversations with on our trip here, talking about care sector, and now we've been offered, we're paying 15,000, can you help? We walk and run away, and good luck. If you can't see a red flag, you need to open your eyes.
Well taken, well taken. Unfortunately, the desperation in Nigeria sometimes, the good sense, or should I say the sense of good judgment, gets thrown out the window.
Exactly, but it's not just been removed.
Yeah.
You can be deported for 10 years.
Wow, wow.
So
that's a huge risk.
The implications are long-term.
They're huge. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Balogun, who has... no, I was thinking since she's in the house, we would afford the courtesy to you first. You can take my mic, I guess. Okay.
Thank you very much, Garth. So quick question. My private business is Goldmine Global Services Limited, and we've been operational for like 18 years in Nigeria. Basically what we do is that we set up small, medium, and large-scale industries. How we do that is because we have partnerships in Asia, where we get these equipment from, install them for the client, train their staff, so they become empowered. So over the last 18 years, we've done about 120 factories all around Nigeria. Now, like any aspirational business, we will want a global presence.
Yes.
And UK
Exactly.
is one of the countries we're looking at.
Agreed.
Now, similar to what you said, one of the issues we have faced is if you're buying things in China, they would make it mandatory that you fully pay for whatever is being shipped to Nigeria. Now, it may surprise you that my partner told me that, actually, Ishmael, why don't you set up your company in UK or Dubai? And I asked why. He said, you don't need to pay 100% before the items ship out. You can pay 50% because of the UK address or a UAE address. You will not pay the balance until we have sent you the bill of lading, right? So for a business, that helps with cash flow, right? At times as well, when we try to make payments and want to issue LCs, you will get comments like, we're not accepting LCs from Nigeria, right? So my question to you then is, knowing all the information at your disposal, I would like to sit with yourself and Iyola and look at my business critically and see what program might be best applicable. Right.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, one point to make clear is you wouldn't be able to set up in the UK just like as a credit hub to pass money around the world. But it can be a component and a piece of the business jigsaw we put together. And clearly, if your parent company here is suffering because of financial mechanisms and paperwork and transactions, and that will be made easier by having a UK entity, then I think that's acceptable. But we will build around that. Yeah? And I'm very, very happy to speak to you about that after, sir.
Miss Bruno first, then Sunny. Okay, you're fine. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So I run a data consulting firm based in Lagos, and we do quite a lot of work in Africa. We were finding it very difficult to make payments to our subcontractors. You know, try making a payment to Angola or DRC, it's quite hectic. So we thought, okay, why don't we have a UK business to facilitate those payments? So I was at Access Bank UK branch last year, and they said to me, oh, we've been told to close all Nigerian accounts. So I don't know if you're aware of that development. You're not. So something happened last year where they were shutting down Nigerian bank accounts. Yes. So has that been resolved?
That wasn't the general policy. That was selective. We've actually had Nigerian clients who British banks disgracefully have just closed the accounts down. No warning, closed it down, locked up 70,000, 80,000 pounds. True?
Yes.
But I'll let you speak about this, Ayola, because you've got personal, some of the clients.
Yes. So I'm sure we all know now, with money laundering, it's a big issue, and the regulator in the UK for the banks, when these banks don't do what they need to do, it's a big problem for the banks, and that's why the banks are also running away from some countries, because there's always that red flag with Nigeria, some Dubai, and some other countries. So the solution, like God said, is you having something on ground in the UK. So if you have something on ground in the UK, then you can go to the high street banks. You would even get better rates. Go to the high street banks, set up, have a business there, have accounts there, and then you can do what you want to do. So the solution really is, and which is what we're trying to, what we're saying, is you need to have one foot in the UK market. Very, very key. And then that way, smooth operation, you can do these things, you can do your business.
Yeah, but any clients of ours that have unfortunately, been affected and their bank accounts have been frozen, we go on the attack. We go after the banks, and they get their money back. They have to pay us to get their money, but we will get their money. Because otherwise the bank will have you locked down for forever.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Empires, that's, yes, sorry, I didn't realize there was someone there. No, go ahead.
Okay.
But we can't see you. Okay.
Hi.
Can you see me now? Okay, my name is Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
I am so sorry I came late, but I think I got a few things. Now, I'm a property consultant.
Property?
Yes.
Okay.
And also I do a little bit of exports. Now, opening a property business in the UK for Nigerians in diaspora would be a dream come true for me, because many Nigerians want to actually have property back at home. But I think, I've always thought that it would be good if I have something there that some Nigerians can at least, it will make you much more trustworthy, I guess, and make them know that, okay, you have a presence where they are, you are not someone that can run away. But what are the things I should know, documents, license in the property business in the UK, number one. Now in exports, in taking things from Nigeria to the UK and the Eurozone, I also want to have a company there, because there are Nigerians in diaspora also who want things moving from there. I want to know the things you should know and the documents you should have for these two businesses in the UK. If I want to establish
I'm going to ask if it's okay, Ola, to answer this. But first of all, are you talking from a point of view that you want to come to the UK as well to represent your business?
Yes.
So it's not I'm doing business in the UK, it's I'm coming to the UK to sort
also
business out.
to do that. So
okay.
I already have an arm here, but I'm coming there and making.
Okay, well I think we can both chat about this, but Ola, if you want to.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, it's the same thing we're doing here. I mean, Nigeria is our biggest market, and that's why we've come to set up, have a presence here. So at least people can see us and put a face to it. Same thing you have to do. Come, set up presence there, and that way, people, I mean, already, what you're trying to do there, people doing it already. I mean, we have helped a lot of companies, come over to it. So yes, you can, but just see me, or I'll give you my number and we can chat about it. Thank you very much.
Sorry, it's Joseph, correct? Joseph, as I said before, maybe before you come in, immigration is not industry specific, and we have brought people in the construction industry from Nigeria who want to be based in the UK to export construction materials and household kitchens, bathrooms, etc. But we have also brought in Nigerian property consultants, which maybe is linking to what you do. And they want to be based in the UK to help Nigerians in the UK who want to buy property back in Nigeria for investment. And it's easier to access someone who's on ground that they trust in England. And also for Nigerians here who want to invest into the British market, and they will trust somebody who's a Nigerian who's based on ground in the UK. Works both ways. So the industry space you are in will work for immigration purposes for me.
And they know you can't run away with their money because you have a base in the UK. Yeah.
All right. Next question.
Yes. Good morning. My name is Dorothy Bassi, and I have one specific question. I came in a bit late. I'm not sure if that has been addressed.
Please go ahead.
My question is, a Nigerian company, would it be possible for a Nigerian company to partner with an existing UK firm or company? Particularly, my interest is with an association in the UK. They have offices across the globe, but not a presence in Nigeria. And I'm thinking, would it be possible to partner with such a company and have a presence in Nigeria? Because the association is involved with compliance, and you do know regulations and compliance essentially is the backbone of any growing country.
And the purpose of the association, is it for business, or again, is there a personal immigration aspect to this that you would want to use that as a platform to come to UK?
No, I do come to the UK quite frequently. I have a retail business. That's another aspect or question I would like to ask. Sure. Because here in Nigeria we have a lot of China products which aren't really top quality as compared to the UK. I buy a lot of my products from the UK. And I don't think I need to live in the UK to do that business. So that's a different thing. But it would be nice to have a company like Marks and Spencer's, for example, represented, having an office here, having a shop here.
Yes.
For those who want good quality. So I don't know if that falls within what you're talking about.
It sort of falls outside our remit, but you know, having a relationship with Marks and Spencers or something,
Okay, so that's but for the association thing I was mentioning, but it's not for a personal.
Okay.
It's not for a personal interest like
yes.
you asked. It's strictly for business.
Yeah.
Because if you have an association or a representation of that association here in Nigeria, it would grow into a business.
No,
I don't know.
Absolutely. All I was saying, it's not an immigration point, is, but if you're entering into business association with any British entity, then clearly the jurisdiction and the legal contracts will all be UK based. So you will be well protected on protecting yourself with an association with a British company. Yeah.
Can I come in? So I'm Chim Chalamera. I'm the country director for the UK Government Department for Business and Trade. So that is exactly what we do. So both Nanklin and I are happy to kind of talk to you about that.
Excellent.
So if you already have a UK company that you're talking to and they are interested in coming here, then we can facilitate that. Yeah.
That's great.
Great,
and
fantastic.
Great link.
Okay, and sorry, I'll just add, and apologies to Ayola and Garth for coming in like this. So we're having a retail mission in February in partnership with the NBCC around things like this as well. So that is information that you will get as well.
Thank you. Dr. Berry.
Thank you. That's the British State getting some leverage. So you say thank you later. Thank you, everyone. just remind us that we can go pop over to the lobby there and get some tea and come right back. My question to you, Garth and Iola, I know that policies are changing almost as if the day and the night change.
Yes.
So how fluid is it to move across from one visa type to the next one? Like, for instance, if you're a student now, you graduate, you do the graduate visa, it's about to expire, can you migrate to another visa and all of that? And after that question, could you talk about a bit more about the point system so it's clear? Thank you.
Well, the work permit system at the points-based system is there. It will become tighter. I have to say, in the past, for students, you come and study, then you have to leave the UK. As you know, they have put out an olive branch for all the money that comes into the UK, and the economy in Britain benefits hugely by bringing in the graduate visa to allow people to stay for 2 years. And the purpose of that is for them to look for work. The point is, though, that they've got to get a job with an employer that has a license or is happy to invest in the time for a lawyer to get the license, to then go through the hoops to get a work permit. But what we're doing a lot of at the minute under the graduate visa route are students who are on the graduate visa, they're self-sponsoring themselves. They're setting up their own businesses. And then they're in control of their own destiny. They're not relying on having to get a British company with a sponsor license during that 2 years. So we have a lot of families on retainer who have children at university in the UK. And of course, they're paying a lot of money for education, and they're worried about what the children are going to do in the future, because ideally they'd like to have the leverage of the children having an option, if they wanted, of staying in the UK or returning back. They want that leverage. So they come to us maybe when the kids are in second year at uni to plan what might be possible. And maybe it's even in the third year, we have that exact discussion about, well, look, graduate visa counts for nothing, time-wise for residency. It counts for nothing. Student time counts for nothing, unless you can build up 10 years, which is very, very hard. So we like it when we have clients that plan with us, that when the kids go on to graduate visa, we've already discussed the self-sponsorship route, that maybe set up their own company and get a work permit for their own business. Then the clock will start running under their own steam to residency that way. not come at the end of the 2-year graduate visa where they've lost 2 years of their life. It's counted for nothing and they go, what do we do? We like to be proactive and plan in advance. Yeah.
Thank you very much. We will move to Ms. Rinu, please. Who has the microphone? Okay, they're bringing it to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Garth. Great questions, excellent conversation flowing this morning. I sat and was sort of reflecting on some of the comments you made. A couple of things jump into my mind in no real order. But the first is, you've probably heard about the Japa syndrome. The fact that a lot of Nigerians are migrating to the UK. Yeah. I think it'd be useful to perhaps share some of your thoughts around that and how Nigerians can actually convert the migration status that has taken them into the environment into setting up businesses there in the UK. So that's the first thing. And just your general thoughts around how they can optimize it. The second thing that came to mind is we've got a 400 strong membership in the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce. Quite a lot of our premium, our corporate members have UK-based anyway. But we also have a lot of SMEs, small, medium enterprises, who I know that these sorts of conversations will benefit. I quickly checked on your website a few seconds ago. If you don't have it there, I may have missed it. It might be helpful, at least certainly with the collaboration we're getting into now, if we can have some crib sheet of sorts that sort of gives you high-level points that we can work with our SMEs so that they actually have a sense that the opportunities are there and they may be able to tap into it. Yeah, so maybe think around that, you know, if it all does exist, that'll be great. Then the third point I wanted to raise, as soon as you started talking about the definition of employees under the scheme, when you were talking about the structures, and the first entry was having a payroll, being on the payroll for 12 months, and a salary structure of for 12 months, it's about, I think you said 40, sorry? It's 44,000.
At least 40,000.
At least 40,000 pounds. And if you wanted a fast track of 73,000 for 3 months,
if you
wanted that option. Now, of course, I'm a banker, so my head began to calculate, and I'm thinking to myself, add 3 extra zeros to those numbers, and you're a company in Nigeria and you want to set up shop in the UK, and you know you need to think about those sorts of sums. Maybe throw some light in there, because I also want us to be clear that people get the right messaging around making sure that you know it is possible, and what are the implications. So we don't want to paint a rosy picture, but also we need to sort of lay the facts on the ground. So I've said quite a few things, 3 key areas, but that's me. If I don't dump it down, I'd forget. You know, so I think that's important to clear. But I think this is a journey, and I'm glad to hear that you handhold your clients. I'm also glad, and I'm hoping that you also support them in developing a business plan, because you know I don't think that this is something anyone sort of says, oh wow, we've met Garth Coates and we want to do this in 3 months. I think it's perhaps a little longer from what I've listened to today.
Absolutely.
So it might be helpful to just give that
absolutely.
indication. Thank you very much. Sorry, it's a bit long-winded.
No,
you understand
not at all.
Thanks.
And I'm not sure I'm going to be answering in order, but I will answer, and please prompt me, Anne. The first thing I'd like to say is that generally when clients show an interest, the first thing they do is they book a consultation with Iola. And That's during that hour, we drill down on the person, their background, their connections, their business, everything, and then we work out what is possible. So I think I alluded to before, I'm actually very hard-faced. I only take on cases that we can give added value to, and we don't paint rosy pictures. We paint facts and what will work and what will not work. Anne mentioned about fact sheets and all of this. It's a very difficult thing to do when things are done on a case-by-case basis, but we do have some general crib sheets. But as I said, everything is nailed down after initial consultation at IOLA, and we have consultations on ground, and most of our consultations are on WhatsApp or Zoom, wherever I am in the world. Then we know the full picture. Crib sheets are actually not a problem at all, but they're very basic just because immigration law changes all the time, and the interpretation of what's down there changes all the time. So yes, we will be able to provide you with basic information. Any information is better than no information, provided it's the right information. Regarding the, because we haven't talked about innovator, and innovator is another category where there is a huge amount of misinformation. In Dubai particularly, and in Nigeria you see it, you see these, let's say, agencies saying, come as an innovator to the UK, there's no investment needed, and you get residency within 3 years. They're all key points, and there's a lot of things which are wrong. Innovator is incredibly difficult because one, I'll just mention it quickly, one, you have to have a cutting edge business which pretty much isn't out there in the British market. And before you even get, and this is particularly, Anne, you mentioned about small businessmen, SMEs, and they gravitate towards this where it should work and can work. But before you deal with immigration, your business model has to be put to a government endorsing body. So if you're in tech, government will have a tech approved endorsing body to say, look, here's a potential innovator, drill down into this business plan, which has been put together by the lawyers, see whether it'll stack up. And if it stacks up, then we get on with it. Yeah? And the misinformation says, oh, there's no investment needed, you get residency after 3 years. Wonderful, sit back. Wrong. There are weekly, monthly, annual reporting restrictions, and at the end of 3 years, you must have invested 50,000, but to get residency, you then have to tick off a number of other things, which are very difficult. One, you have a business with £1 million turnover, not so easy. You have registered for intellectual property rights, or, which is the one most common to be used, is you have to create 5 jobs at £25,000. So you've got your 50,000 investment at the end, you've got to create 5 jobs, 25,000 for 12 months, that's 175,000. These are the things that, you know, agencies and misinformation, you know, don't tell you. Back to a point, Anne, you mentioned about holding people's hand. You are right, for the businesses here who want to formulate a business model, we have professional business plan writers that we use who basically work with us to build a business plan that is going to be fit for purpose for the immigration process. And that covers that point about hand-holding. I've forgotten something else now, Anne, but I'm not sure I've got. So, sorry, the point about the Japa. I'll call it Exodus. I tried to make the point earlier on that, you know, the British immigration, I'm not here for people to leave the UK. It's business immigration. It's all about having one foot in each country. No one is leaving Nigeria. You are building a business in the UK to boost your presence here, create jobs for the benefit of the Nigerian economy. Yeah? So I have heard that phrase before, and I'm very passionate about answering it directly. You're bringing people to the UK that can lead to residency. That doesn't mean that they're leaving Nigeria. They have one foot in each economy. Nigeria benefits by the exposure to the UK. That's the reality. Yeah.
So in essence, it's not an escape route. It's more of having the best of both worlds and taking advantage of both jurisdictions. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, Iola, you were going to say something?
We've had a lot of people that have businesses here, they've like kind of
Your mic.
abandoned. They've kind of like abandoned their businesses here, and they've moved over to the UK. Excuse me. And that's because they don't have access to the right information. Because if you know your business is here, you can actually set up a branch there, which is exactly what we're talking about. Yeah. So they leave everything they've got here, they go over there, and they're doing jobs they shouldn't even be doing. And at times, I just, I'm sad for my people, because all you have to do is get the right information.
Yeah, but Dr. Abiri, the link between the UK market and Nigeria, it's with the right information, it makes so much sense. You cannot run a Nigerian business if you've gone to America and Canada. It's too far. If you move over there, you can run everything from the UK back and forth to Nigerian business. Huh? Easy. Logistically, it's easy, and it works.
Thank you very much. Time is fast spent, so we're moving to our virtual attendees. Any other physical questions can be had after the session is formally closed. So we have about 6 questions. I think I should just bunch them into 2 each so that we can quickly rush through them. I mean, we obviously can't take all the questions today, so we're going to have to, draw the line on the ones we already have here. Can you elaborate on the new point system introduced in the UK and how it affects individuals seeking to work or establish businesses there? That's question 1.
Right, which we've sort of establishing business we've sort of answered.
Yeah, and then 2, could you detail the criteria or qualifications needed for investors seeking to establish their business in the UK under the current immigration regulations?
Which we've answered.
We've touched that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just move on.
Yes.
These next 2 are post-Brexit related. The first one says, in what ways does understanding and navigating the UK's post-Brexit immigration policies serve as a blueprint for successful business launch? Very general, but if you have any responses for that. And then, can you share examples of case studies illustrating the challenges or successes businesses have encountered while setting up post-Brexit?
Okay, so I'll wrap some of that up. I'll wrap some of that up by saying there is a window of opportunity because of the transitional arrangements when Brexit came in, and Britain needed to widen the immigration window to get skilled labour from outside Europe. It brought in the widening and the loosening of the immigration categories. Those transitional arrangements will close. So if you're self-sponsoring, setting up in the UK, expansion worker, don't dwell on it, because the law, if I'm sitting here this time next year, will be completely different, and immigration does not get easier, immigration gets harder. So I wouldn't say it's a once-in-a-generational period, but it's the immigration was dictated by an historic event like Brexit, and my clients can take advantage of it. Now, post-Brexit, one thing that will happen, because it happens every year, is that politically, government will drill down on people coming into the UK on work permits, and they will do that by all jobs in the UK for work permits are codified. So only jobs at certain limits can get work permits. And within those job codifications, there are salaries for those codification areas. So you can guarantee that the transitional arrangements after Brexit, before Brexit, you would never be able to come in as, let's say, a junior restaurant manager. Post-Brexit, you could. That is going to be closed going forward, and it will make the jobs more senior and specialized jobs, and the industry levels will go up and up again, just like Rishi did last week, where he started putting up some of the salary levels.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So the 2 other questions. Are there any notable differences in the immigration pathways for local versus international entrepreneurs aiming to set up in the UK? I'm not sure who they're referring to, local and international.
Well, it's one and the same. If you're Nigerian, you're local. If you're Nigerian, you're international.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
We've addressed the roots.
And then the last one, barring any others, I have a digital business that I'm planning to expand to the UK.
Excellent.
I would like to know if the UK has programs like e-residency and other digital nomad programs.
No. That's the end of that one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you want to come in, you come under mainstream programs. It's not Britain is a desirable location for business. Countries like Portugal desperately need to entice, and to entice, they have very, very generous immigration programs where you do e-immigration.
Well, that answers that. Iola, I don't know if you have any last things to say before Garth, closes, because we're about to close this session, and then we'll invite our member to give a vote of thanks. Any last thoughts?
I would say that please, get in touch and let's have a chat, and we can always come up with something that would work for your own business. Thank you very much.
Garth?
I'd just like to say thank you again for the opportunity. The questions that have been raised elaborate on the point that there's not a lot of information out there, and I am here to give that information, and we can help. And the more Nigerian businesses come to the UK, the better it is for the economy as a whole here. Simple. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. And with this, we formally close this fireside chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm sure, there's a networking after this, and, Garth and Iola are available for, additional discussions. I'll now invite Antonia to close out. Thank you very much, everyone.
On behalf of the Nigerian-British Chamber of Commerce and the Advocacy Committee, I stand here before you filled with immense gratitude for the success of our seminar on setting up business in the UK. Firstly, our deepest appreciation goes to our esteemed speakers, Mr. Garth Coates and Mr. Iola Ojo, for their insightful conversations packed with practical advice and invaluable expertise. Their willingness to share their knowledge and engage in open dialogue has undoubtedly equipped countless aspiring entrepreneurs with the tools they need to navigate the exciting journey of establishing their ventures in the UK. Next, I extend our heartfelt thanks to the dedicated team behind the scenes who made this event possible. Our sincere gratitude goes to Mr. Ray Atley, the President of NBCC, Dr. Ebere Njoku, Director General of the NBCC, Chim, County Director, Department of Business and Trade, British Deputy High Commission, Yetunde Olashope, our eloquent moderator, and of course, our chairperson, Ms. Renu. We express our deepest appreciation to all participants, both those who joined us physically at the NBCC headquarters and those who participated online. Your active engagement, insightful questions, and vibrant discussions contributed greatly to the enriching atmosphere of the seminar. Furthermore, we acknowledge the immense support of the British Deputy High Commission. Their unwavering partnership and dedication to fostering closer economic ties between our nations are invaluable. Last but not the least, we extend our sincere gratitude to the staff of the NBCC and volunteers who worked tirelessly behind the scenes, from setting up the venue to assisting with refreshments and technical support. Their dedication and hard work ensured a seamless and enjoyable experience for everyone. Today's seminar has undoubtedly provided a wealth of knowledge and resources to empower individuals and businesses in their pursuit for establishing their presence in the UK. We firmly believe that these insights gained here will serve as a springboard for countless future successes. Once again, thank you very much.